and welcome to another episode of Ask Jay. I'm here with the Civic Squad. Civic Squad, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Eric.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Anna.
Fantastic. Today, Gen Z versus millennials, demographic breakdowns, understanding wealth levels, knowing how many people live in our town, state, or country. Ever wonder how we get those numbers? Where does this data come from? The answer is the census. Every 10 years, the federal government does a massive count of everyone in the country to find out who and how many people are here. And that data, that precious, precious data, is gold. It's so important that not getting an accurate count can be devastating for communities everywhere. Let's take Chelsea, Massachusetts, for example. So they have an estimated population right now of about 75,000, but according to their last census, there's only 31,000 people living there. This discrepancy has hit this community really, really hard, especially as it deals with the ravages of COVID, a pandemic at which they are an epicenter of. So who has questions about the census?
Why is the census so important, Jay?
Why is it not important? So on the most fundamental level, the census is about getting an accurate count of who is here. But not only how many people are here, how old are they? Where do they live? In what cities and towns? What are their demographics? What are their sexes? All of these things. So it's important information that gets used for studies, for departments, for a whole bunch of stuff. That data is just gold. The second piece, however, is that every state gets a piece of the federal budget, and that's determined by population. And so each person is worth $24,000 in federal money. And so if there's a lack of a count, that's $24,000 that you're losing out per person. So that's another reason. The third reason is we have a representative democracy, meaning that our folks in Congress, they're determined by how many people there are and where those folks live. Literally, we use this data to draw the lines in our states. And thus, if we don't have enough of a count, sometimes these districts disappear. And just like Massachusetts 10 years ago, you can actually lose a seat in Congress. You can lose representation. So it's vital, vital, vital that we get an accurate count for all of those reasons.
Is the census safe? How is my information protected?
That's another really good question. I would say part of why we've been struggling with response rates this year in particular is there was a lot of question about citizenship before. Whether or not there would be a citizenship question on the census. To be clear, there is one, no citizenship question on the census. Two, it does not matter if you are a citizen or not. You must complete the census because it is important, and a lot of the services provided by taking the census and getting that census money actually benefit folks who may not be citizens. Three, the large aggregated data is what's shared. Household data, so who lives in this house and where this house is located, that information is actually privately protected for 72 years. Say that again, 72 years. No one can know where you live for 72 years unless you're like hotspotting yourself or something like that, or geotagging. Don't do that, okay? But it is safe, 72 years, nobody else can use that information. So yes, it is safe to take.
So how do I take the census?
You got options. It's 2020. One, you could find an enumerator going around talking to you, but we're in the midst of a pandemic, so if you don't want that, you can do it online. You can fill it out in the mail. And you can also do it over the phone. And even if you don't speak English, if that's not your primary language, the census can be taken in 13 different languages. So there are a host of ways available to you to take the census. And of course, I will share those links out for where you can access them. Any more questions?
Why is this so hard to get a complete census count?
What a great question. I would say right now, Massachusetts has a response rate of about 66%, and Boston in particular has a rate of 54.5%. This is after, again, having not done so hot in the last census and actually lost that seat there. So we're on trend, unfortunately, to do worse, some folks are saying, than the last 10 years. I think it's a couple different reasons. I do think there was that initial worry around fear, if it was safe to do. I think folks feel like they actually don't understand what the census is for. They think it's just numbers, but they don't realize how those numbers are attached to real dollars, are attached to data that's used on everything from how better to support our communities and fix our roads and fix our schools and offer these social programs, as well as decide our representation. So I think there's a disconnect sometimes between that. And then other folks, This sounds harsh. Might be lazy. I don't know. Don't see the point. And for the same reason they're not voting, are taking the census. To vote and to take the census are two things that take less than 10 minutes that have such an immense impact on our lives. And for some reason, there are folks who feel like it might be better to not engage with these systems, but they do so at their detriment. Is not just my opinion, but fact. So I'm going to go ahead and step in that. Any more questions? Great. Action steps. What are we doing?
I'm going to go take the census right now.
That is a great step. So you can definitely do that for your household. Awesome.
I'm going to make sure my friends and family take the census and spread the word on social media.
Please, please keep it visible, because the deadline, I didn't say this before, is September 30th, and that is a reduced deadline. So we have even less time to take the census, and we already have an election coming up that's happening on the 1st here in Massachusetts. So don't let that get drowned out in the noise. Share it on your social medias. Tell your folks, do them, because we have roughly about a month and a week left. So it's very, very key that you do that. Yes.
I'm going to apply to be a census enumerator myself so that I can help ensure an accurate census count.
Listen, if you do that, I might need you to lend me some money. They're getting paid like 25 bucks an hour. So you might be making more than I am if you take that census job. So yeah, get paid, do that civics work on the ground. But great, this is all really good, guys. Anything else before we go? Awesome, go forth, get folks counted, remind them why they're important, make sure that we all get seen. Have a good one, everybody. I'll meet you back here next week.